Welcome back to the Sam JW channel. It finished 0-0 at the Bet365 Stadium, but Oxford United almost had a day to remember. Let's talk about this draw. So yes, it finished 0-0 between Mark Robins and Gary Rowett's side, and this was a very interesting game because there were certain moments where it looked like, you know, either side could have snatched a goal and maybe even the 3 points. But of course, we'll go through that bit by bit. Lineups. So very notably for Gary Rowett, he made a change up top. So Jamie Cumming, of course, started in goal. Peter Kioso and Greg Lee as the fullbacks. Mikhail Helik and Kieran Brown continued as the centre halves. Will Volks and Cameron Brannigan kept their places as the defensive midfielders. Ruben Rodriguez, Shemi Poheta and Sariki Dembele were the more advanced in that midfield area. And up top, Tom Bradshaw got his first start as an Oxford United player, replacing Mark Harris. Obviously, it's for the most part, I think it's kind of the side that have been on form, and as we'll get into in a little bit, I like the look of Bradshaw. Obviously, I was very kind of down on him when we signed him, but he looks like at least a useful signing if the signing was a little bit underwhelming. So this first half. There are moments where I thought we're going to win this game. There are moments where we thought, oh God, this is Oxford from earlier on in the campaign. I'd say we were ever so slightly the better side. Slightly better with the ball, holding it better in the midfield and into our attacking third. More shots got off, but not an awful lot of big chances. I think overall, kind of the best chance of this game probably falls to Cameron Brannigan here in the 13th minute. There's a reasonable save made by Shemi Poheta in the 3rd minute. We started really brightly. We looked the more aggressive side going forward. But it was this effort where it was a really good nice of play in the midfield area out to Kioso, and Kioso put the ball across to Cameron Brannigan, who has his first shot blocked, and then the second shot goes in right down low, but it's a good save from the Stoke keeper. We needed our goalkeeper, Jamie Cumming, to make a big save. That was, I believe it's this one here, from Moran. It's a back pass that's gone terribly wrong from Peter Kioso, who I thought didn't have a good first half. It's given away by PK, and Jamie Cumming makes a big save and digs his right back out of it. But I mean, other than that, as you can see, only 4 opportunities, and I'd say kind of these two were the main. That was probably the main chance from Moran. This one, Shamenju, I butchered his name, I know, but from Stoke's right back was relatively decent. And then you see wild efforts from Phillips and Lewis Baker, which didn't trouble Jamie Cumming at all. But they were at the time of the game where they were really growing into it, the home side. As you can see, this is kind of a big spike here for the home side, but not an awful lot else being created by either side, it has to be said. Not an awful lot. And then you've got this one, which is the chance just before the break from Stoke's right back. Yeah, overall it's a pretty nothing half. Like I say, we were slightly better in terms of the chance we created. We got into better areas on a lot of corner kicks, a lot of set pieces deep in Stoke territory, but no one really able to capitalise. Sariki Dembele he was trying to, as he keeps trying to do, jink in on his right foot and try and find the angle for the strike. Wasn't able to pull that off. Tom Bradshaw, his first real effort in an Oxford United shirt, comes from an attempted bicycle kick that hits the Stoke man. But he looked relatively bright, did Bradshaw, and this is the kind of game away from home against a side that we're expecting to be a very difficult side to break down. This is where it's perfect. As we like to let's have a look at the kind of defensive actions and the passes. So more unsurprisingly created by Oxford in the passing department in the first half. As we've talked about time and time again, the fundamentals of Gary Rowett's side is, at least at Oxford United, as you can see a little bit towards the end of his spell at Birmingham as well. Obviously, let's talk about last season at Birmingham, where they were kind of doomed to go down, but he kept trying to play good football and they got some decent results out of it. It's build from the back, move it forward, like we've tried to do at Football Club for a number of years. But as you can see, overall it was ever slightly better from an Oxford point of view. More passes in the opposition half, and it's like I say that those were mostly in moments where we were trying to break down the Stoke back line and deep midfield, but were unable to do so. As you can see, in this first half, we were very, very good at when Stoke were getting in our final third areas in the few times they were able to get in the interception, where we Will Volks, Mikhail Helik, Kieran Brown, Greg Lee, making that interception, breaking up Stoke's phase of play, and then trying to turn that into an attacking move. Relatively decent with the ball at our feet and in those defensive actions, even though from the first half, as you can see, a 0.27 expected goals and a 0.18 for Stoke in that first half. Not a very good first half quality, obviously. And then the second half was very interesting because I thought Stoke were the better side. There were times where they looked to get in more dangerous areas and more often than we were. That being said, the two biggest chances of this game fall to Oxford United. So, as you can see, it's kind of taken till about 15 minutes into that second half for the home side to have their first of their shot, which is a header from Phillips, which is saved by Jamie Cumming. He loses his man on the corner kick, and it's a good save by Jamie. This one from Stevens, it's relatively simple for Jamie. He rushes out, makes the save, and then not an awful lot on low chances of wild effort trying to snatch it in the last minute. We're going to touch on this one from Romeny in a minute. So this is Bradshaw's first major opportunity in Oxfordshire. It's a brilliant bit of play between Sariki Dembele, Ruben Rodriguez, and our number 50. Great bit of play to move the ball forward, find the keys to unlock the Stoke defence, and Bradshaw gets through. It's a fabulous save by the Stoke goalkeeper. It's kind of low and it's a relatively difficult angle for him to make, but he manages to swipe it away. And that was we thought that was, if we were going to win the game, we thought that was going to be it. But we had another really big chance we'll get into in a minute. Again, this is why kind of, as you can see, ever so slightly better were Stoke with the ball, like minutely more accurate with the ball at their feet. And Mark Robins' side, they were doing what we were doing in the first half, building from the back, trying to find those cutting edges. And again, it's interesting because you obviously compare this to the first half, and it kind of switches a little bit. They were better with making the introductions, making the transitions in the defensive third to try and get forward. As you can see, other than this massive one, which is obviously the Bradshaw chance, they do have the better and sustained periods of time where they do look the better side. We were struggling to get out of our half at this point in the game, and I thought maybe it was a matter of time, but a certain substitute comes on and almost wins it. It's a really, really great effort. Romeny, obviously he's only been on the pitch for a short amount of time that we've seen him, but he looks like a really, really willing runner, which is what you want in this kind of setup. And basically what happens, if you haven't seen the highlight, essentially Ball's cleared forward, and Stoke goalkeeper tries to shepherd it out of play, and I think he kind of tries to cover all his angles. Romeny, there might be a slight touch to send the keeper over, but it looks like from the replay, because I have to admit, in the away end where he was stood, it looked like a foul. It looked like Romeny committed the foul, and we got very lucky to get away with it. But Romeny nicks it away, and it's an incredibly tight angle that he has to go at the goal with. And a lot of outlets talking about, this is it's miss of the season territory. Part of that obviously because it's an open goal by the time he takes a strike, but if you look at the watch it back, there's a Stoke man running towards the back post, and there's another Stoke man sliding in, meaning that Ole Romeny can't just simply pass it into the back of net, so he tries to go for height and just hit the top of the crossbar. Really, really unlucky for Ole Romeny. But yeah, I thought he came and looked quite bright, as we'll talk about in a minute. As you can see, not an awful lot more created by us. Some relatively tame efforts from Siriki Dembele and Mikhail Helik having had a go over the bar. But yeah, not an awful lot more happened, and it ends 0-0 at the Bet365 Stadium. We'll quickly go through the lineup. Jamie Cumming made some massive saves. The first half one really kind of saves Peter Kioso from a horrific mistake. Very, very key. There's also the one in the second half, which is a really, really good save that Jamie makes. When he steps, when we need him most, he steps up, and so far he has not let us down. And you have to say, looking at the business that we did in the summer, bringing in Jamie Cumming on a permanent transfer, on a free, was a fabulous bit of business by this football club. Ever reliable, even though he did take a little bit of time, as we spoke about in the transfer video, took a little bit of time to kind of grow into his Oxford career, but when it, irreplaceable at this point, and, it doesn't look like Matt Ingram's any closer to relieving Jamie Cumming of that number one spot. Peter Kioso, like I said, I thought he was poor in the first half. Struggled, a couple of misplaced passes, getting nudged with the ball too easily. Much improved in the second half, I thought. Definitely looked better, and I think combined with the fact that Shemi was doing a little bit more tracking back, I think it massively helped. Helik and Brown, another really solid performance. Mikhail Helik is looking even better, bit of business game by game, and we're getting to a point where I think Elliot Moore, when he does come back fit, potentially in time for Bristol City, maybe after that for the Burnley game, I think Elliot's going to struggle to get back in this side, because at the minute Helik and Kieran Brown look phenomenal together. Greg Lee, he was in the first half electric down the left hand side in the attacking phase, and one or two things he had to do defensively, but he dealt with them fairly well. In the attacking field, we really saw Greg's how useful he is in those attacking moments, and his ability in the air, very useful. Volks and Brannigan. So Volks, another steady Eddie performance from Will Volks. Definitely nothing to write home about, but kind of did the job relatively well. Cameron Brannigan, captain on the day, obviously chucking himself about, has a big effort, obviously well saved in that first half by Johansson, but another very steady performance from Cameron Brannigan, which is, I've said time and time again, Cam, when he has a steady performance, it means the rest of the squad, are for the most part carrying their own weight, and Cam doesn't need to carry all the pressure on his shoulders. Shemi, I thought Shemi was better in the first half. He had the beating of his man a couple of times in that first half. Second half, like I said, he was more involved in the defensive third, which is what you want from your wide man, especially in this system. So it looked very useful in the second half for Peter Kiosu in the defensive third, and more electric in the first half from the attacking phase. Ruben didn't have an awful lot, did Ruben? Obviously, he used his body very, very well, and draw a couple of fouls, but nothing super special from Ruben. And then Tom Bradshaw, first start as an Oxford shirt, and had put in a really decent performance. Like I said, I wasn't enthused by the signing of Tom Bradshaw, but he looks to have done pretty well so far. And then Siriki Dembele, in those wide areas, very skillful, very direct, causing a lot of headaches for the Stoke defence. But when he brought it central, again, I'm saying a lot in recent games, too easy getting beaten on the ball and getting muscled off it, trying to do too much. Times where he's trying to take on 3 Stoke men, he's got options in support and he's not using them. Siriki is an incredibly talented player, but at the minute, we're yet to see that final product from Siriki Dembele. He had a couple of opportunities, but none of them really were troubling Johansson. And then in terms of the substitutes, Mark Harris obviously came on for Tom Bradshaw. Didn't do an awful lot, did Mark Harris. Obviously ran his socks off. Alex Matos came on, and again, another decent performance from the bench for Alex Matos. Robust, getting stuck in is Alex Matos. I've said before, I really like this signing. Tyler Goodrum came on. Obviously, this is his first game back after his 3-game suspension. Looked bright on that on the left-hand side. Lose the ball 1 or 2 times, but that comes from just being out-muscled. We know Ty is on the shorter side of players. But relatively decent for Tyler, and good we've got him back, so we can be, also with Louis Sibley going on loan, we can be a bit, we can switch up in terms of who plays as the 10. Ole Romeny, obviously misses the big chance, but overall looked very useful. Like I said earlier, willing runner, very willing to put himself about and use his body. Obviously, we've only seen 10 minutes from Ole Romeny in Oxford shirt, but a very bright start so far for him. It's just a shame he couldn't get that debut goal, because I think Oxford Twitter would have exploded if Ole Romeny had come on for 10 minutes and scored the winning goal in that game. And then Matt Phillips had maybe, I think it was 5-6 minutes on the pitch, didn't do an awful lot wrong. Just this is what I've wanted Matt Phillips to be used for. Come on, see out games, even if we weren't winning in this game, just see things out, be a calm head in this team, just to make sure we can get a result. But yeah, it's overall not an awful lot to speak about. And in terms of the league table, I'm coming to you after Millwall have beaten Portsmouth by 1-0. We dropped down a few places, but we are still 9 points above that drop zone, above Derby County, which is where we want to be. We could finish 19th as long as we're, or even 21st, as long as we're above that drop zone. That's all that really matters to us. This season about surviving in this division, and the reality is that as long as we are, safe with a few games to spare, I think we'll all have considered it a very, very successful season. Obviously, there's a lot of jokes going around. Oh, look at us, we're aiming for the playoffs. Given what is it? We're only 6 points off 7th, but 8 points off the actual playoff places. But that's always going to be a long shot. The most important thing is the usual tally to survive in the Championship is 50 points. We need 14 more points to, for the most likely, confirm our Championship status for next season. But obviously we've got what is it? We've got 17 matches left to play. So a lot can change, a lot of points still up for grabs. We've got the visit of Liam Manning's Bristol City on Saturday. So let me know your thoughts on the 0-0 draw with Stoke, and I'll see you for the review of Bristol.